A few weeks ago in my programme intro, I asked this question: was the first match against Cradley the most important match in the Brummies history? I said no at that time, and that's because I always thought that this Friday's match against Stoke would probably be the most important. Why? Because it's our first league match and we need to get off to a winning start, particularly as there are no playoffs this year in this league. But probably of more importance is this week we will get to find out what sort of crowd levels we can expect and find out if that sort of crowd level will be enough to support Speedway at Birmingham in the years to come. This will be the first match that we don't have the presence of Cradley to swell our numbers, and it is for that reason that I believe that Good Friday's match is the most important in our history. Of course it's a bank holiday, so we could expect this to be a more attractive proposition for those supporters of the young children and an encouragement for away fans to travel. But Stoke don't tend to travel away with many, if any, fans, and maybe the bank holiday might mean that those young children are actually going on holiday. We shall find out. I will say this though, if you have the chance, then get yourself down to Perry Bar and watch some good racing and hopefully the right result. If you witnessed the first nice wash and decided there and then this was not for you, then last week's right result will have changed your mind. Give it another go. Birmingham needs you. And now for a personal gripe. With the news that we have to go into this most important of matches without the services of Sam Chapman, it feels wrong, doesn't it? I understand the need for the rider replacement facility to cover inevitable injuries. I don't like it, but I understand it. But when a rider is fit but has to ride for another team, it just doesn't feel right. This is not a gripe either against Birmingham or the rider in question, more about the way this sport is run. It just doesn't sit well. And this comes on top of some sad news I received this week. My father, who has missed only a handful of matches since the days of Graham Warren and has been a season ticket holder since the 70s, has told me that he does not intend to visit Speedway ever again. The reason? Because of the way he perceives Speedway to be run. Can Speedway really afford to lose supporters? All I know is that I will feel a deep sense of loss every time I glance at the spot my dad usually occupies. Only in Speedway, eh? Evening, gentlemen.
Evening, good evening.
Evening.
How are you?
I've been better.
Yes,
you
you do look a bit rough, actually.
That's normal.
Thanks for coming in and passing it all on.
Yeah, more than welcome, more than welcome.
It's a thought that counts, isn't it?
And in the studio tonight, as you've already worked out, we have our friend Chris.
Good evening.
And we have our friend Matt.
Good evening.
We was hoping to have our friend from Cradley, but he seems to have disappeared. So,
yeah, if he's on, we're all Skyped up.
Yep,
Skype us in.
We would love to hear from you,
Yeah.
particularly your thoughts before what will be a great match, I'm sure, Cradley versus Coventry next Wednesday at Perry Bar. But anyway, there we go. Of course, none of this is the most important thing about tonight, is it, gentlemen?
It isn't.
Because the most important thing is that white thing in the corner over there.
Yeah, and that shirt over there.
Yeah, I shouldn't talk
dirty
about
shirts.
I shouldn't talk about Matt Light. We have a white T-shirt with the Cradley logo emblazoned on it and the Birmingham Speedway logo emblazoned on it, and underneath each logo the 8 riders from each team plus their respective team managers signed the first match as sort of commemoration of that match against Birmingham.
Historic.
Yeah, and hopefully a match that's full of hope for both clubs. So yeah, we're auctioning that off, and we've already received a bid, haven't we? So where are we at the moment?
We've got an opening bid of £25 from our friend Wendy.
Fantastic.
Well,
So
great start.
Good start, but we want to get more.
No, yeah, we're greedy. We'll have a few.
And we ought to say that it's the proceeds are going to the Ben Fund.
Yeah.
So how can you get your hands on this?
I don't know. How
item?
can you get your hands on these?
You're very good,
I
aren't you?
know, yeah. You're going to tell us, aren't you?
I hope so.
Go on then.
Well, basically, you put your bid in, and whoever has got the highest bid by midnight GMT on Easter Sunday, that will go to you, unless we think it's not enough, and then we'll put it on eBay.
yeah. Basically, give us an offer we can't refuse.
Yeah. So you can get in touch with us various ways. You can obviously, while we're listening to the show live, get in touch with us via the shout box on sports-radio.co.uk. and click on the shout box, and it'll take you to our shout box, and the radio play will pop up along with it as well, so you don't have to worry about that. Or if you prefer, you don't want to come up on the shout box, or if you're listening to this in a podcast, then go to our Twitter account at Brummie Speedway.
Mm-hmm.
You can go to our Facebook account, which is /Brummies, or you could even just email Chris. He reads his emails sometimes as well, don't he?
I do, yeah.
Which is chris@sports_radio.co.uk. It's hyphen, sorry. Yes.
Get your hyphens and your underscores.
I can't spell my own
Proper.
writing.
No, you can't.
And as I said, the cut-off point will be midnight GMT on Easter Sunday. So, yeah, but let's see if we can get the ball rolling today.
Yeah.
That would be fantastic. So anybody there wants to make a bid on that, and we'll even put a photo up, I guess. Can we do that on the shout box?
Photo? Yeah. I can put a link, I think.
Okay.
I'm struggling with photographs, but yeah, I'll put a link to it.
We'll do that as well. And I think Chris will also shove on the Facebook all those different accounts that I just mentioned.
Yeah, okay, yeah, good idea.
Through
good
the show.
Idea, yeah.
So there we go. Right. Well, while we're waiting for the excitement to mount, and for people to put in their bids for this fantastic T-shirt. Am I bigging it up enough, guys?
You are, yeah. I wonder about yourself.
We'll have a chat first with Matt. What's been happening in Wolverhampton? You finished drinking your beer there?
Not a great deal, to be honest, so far. Just the one match.
Mm-hmm.
That was last Friday at Coventry. Their first league match resulted in a 8-point defeat, 50-42 to the Bees.
Not as bad as you was expecting, I don't think.
Not really, no, but we had a great start to the meeting. We got a 5-1 in the first heat, but when you look down at the scoreboard, especially reserve, Coventry got 16 points in reserve and we got 3,
Right.
and that was really the difference. Star of the show, undoubtedly, Peter Carlson scoring 20.
Wow.
On at the age of 45, that's some
How
feat,
much
so.
did Wolverhampton score altogether?
42, so just under half the points. Just under half the points,
yeah.
but dropping just the 1 point, and that was to Danny King, ironically, the former Birmingham man, in his last but one ride. But obviously it would have been nice to have got a point, but really, when you're carrying 2-3 riders, it's always going to be a tough ask to get anything. The return match should have been on Monday, but it was rained off, and of course we are due at Bellevue tomorrow lunchtime at 12 o'clock. But I suspect, looking at the forecast, they might well go the same way, but we'll have to wait and see.
Have you? I'm asking you this because I know the answers now. Have you seen the predictions for the Elite League and where Wolves?
I haven't seen them, no.
You won't like it.
I've got a feeling I know where it might.
What do you think it might be?
Is it a roundish number? Looks like 2 zeros, one top of the other.
Well, I suppose that's one way of looking at it. Yeah.
Eighth.
Yeah.
I'm not that surprised, to be honest.
Yeah.
Not that surprised, but
I'm trying to remember. I can't remember actually who they've got. Let's go through that now. Actually, they reckon that the winners will be. What can you guess?
Paul, by any chance?
Paul, yes.
Is this a Speedway?
But they've got
Okay.
they've got in first place, equal first place, Poole and Kings Lynn.
Well, Kings Lynn have kept the same top 5 as last season, and they were pretty ruthless against Lakeside the other night. Admittedly, Lakeside didn't offer a lot of resistance, but no, I think Lakeside will be there. I think Poole, you can never rule them out, can you?
Kings Lynn have got quite a useful reserve there as well, of course.
That's right, yes, and I think Leicester probably may well be up there as well. I think they'll be difficult to beat on their own track.
Third is Bellevue, which might surprise a few people. Fourth Swindon, fifth Leicester, sixth Coventry, sixth Lakeside. And with only 15 votes, Wolverhampton.
Swindon fourth. That does surprise me, because I think Swindon look weak, to be honest.
Well,
I'm not so sure about Bellevue either. People are saying they look good on paper, yeah, but
you don't ride on paper.
Yeah, we say this every year, don't we, about Bellevue? Good on paper, rubbish on track.
Yeah,
and unfortunately, in the last few years, they have been poor.
Was
but,
it on a rubbish track? Isn't that the way that we normally?
Well, we'll see tomorrow if it's on. So
yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, sure. So, and then obviously on Easter Tuesday we take on Bellevue, and all being well, we could see a moment of history in Tuesday's meeting, because Peter Golson's currently on 540 club appearances, and Samuel Malenko's got the record on 542.
Right. Is that of any club or for
That's just Wolverhampton, yes. And it would be ironic if Peter got the record against Bellevue, because that's who he made his debut against in 1990. So, and I remember it just
Good
about.
stuff. Good stuff.
5 rides, 5 lasts. Not the most auspicious of starts, but
Yeah, I think I remember seeing Phil Hearn his first match, and it wasn't 5-0, but it was a bit not sure about this.
yeah.
But, well, there you go.
I do remember somebody behind me shouting, "Get him on the next boat back to Stockholm." So it's he hasn't done too badly, to be fair. So over the 25 years he's been involved with the club.
Well, while we're doing predictions, shall we have a look at the National League and what they've predicted for National League? I don't think anybody would be surprised that they predicted Cradley to get 3 on the trot.
Yeah.
Then just behind them they have Birmingham, followed by Rye House. Coventry and Eastbourne equal 4th. Mildenhall 6th. 7th Stoke. 8th Kent. 9th Kings Lynn. And 10th Buxton. Would you go along with...
I'm not totally surprised by the having Buxton at the bottom. Eastbourne I'm not so sure about, to be honest. I think it's going to be the same old with Eastbourne. Good at home, but aren't going to do a lot on the road. Do you think that's going to be important this year, be doing good on the road, given, like we spoke about, or I spoke about earlier, the fact that it's just a straight title race, isn't it? There's no playoffs. Yeah, of course. I'm sure Eastbourne would want to win the league, but you can't really fall into that trap of just winning the home matches is going to be enough to win the league. You've got to pick some.
I think away wins are going to be crucial.
And their away record over the recent years hasn't been particularly good, I don't think. So,
I mean, looking at that, if that sort of 1st to 10th holds true, then the matches between Cradley and Birmingham
are going
to be massive, aren't they?
They are, so.
Which is great for both clubs, and great for Speedway.
I don't think it's a massive surprise though that Cradley are the favourites. They know what it takes to win that league, and they've got some experience in that team as well. So,
okay, we had any bids yet?
We haven't. No.
Oh dear.
I thought I was going to get one then, but no,
Okay.
he's come through.
Well, so the current bid is £25 for our T-shirt, but we think it's worth a lot more than that. So get yourselves bidding.
Give us your money!
That's the best Welsh accent.
No. Doing good, isn't it?
Yeah.
I thought it was a Scots accent.
So, okay, well, let's have a little chat then about tomorrow's match. It's quite... I don't know whether they planned it this way, but our very first league match when we started back in 2007 was against Stoke.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah,
Coincidence?
And I remember having a conversation with a certain Mr. Tony Mole at the Ice Speedway at Telford.
Did he talk and you listen? Or
There's a bit of both, actually.
All right,
Did he say,
had a
hello,
conversation with him.
Michael, how are you?
Well, I didn't say that because he'd never met me before.
Oh,
so.
okay. Hello, peasant, how are you?
Yeah, he was just saying how excited he was, but he was worried about that Stoke match.
Tony
that
Moore was
first
excited.
match. Yeah, he was worried about that Stoke match because he thought Stoke had got a very strong team and that we might struggle against it. And so when we approached that first match, I was a bit, well, Tony Moore must know his stuff.
Yeah.
This could be a tough match, and it was one of the easiest matches we had all year. Really, it was.
I think it was about 56-34.
Something
like
of that, something of that type. So it made me think, whoa, hold on, we've got a team here. So I would like something like that again, please. But I think it's going to be a little bit tougher than that this year. What do you think?
I think it will be, to be honest.
I think losing Sam Chapman makes
it's going to be a blow. But I think I would, if I was going to put money on it, I would say Birmingham probably would come out on top in that match. Stoke's record since they've dropped into the National League isn't particularly brilliant,
let's have a think about Sam Chapman and who's going to his replacement rides can be taken by Tom Perry. So that's a bonus. You can have one ride taken by Tom Perry, so that's not a bad one. And Adam Kirby, can take one of his rides, and I think he's going to have a point to prove, of course, because he rode for Stoke last year. And then you're looking at the reserves. So
it's not really an ideal situation to go into the first league match missing a rider, though.
No.
So
my question is, our very first match. Now, maybe somebody out there can confirm this for us. Our very first match, as I said, it was against Stoke, and Emiliano Sanchez didn't arrive for whatever reason. I can't remember what the reason was now, but there was some reason why he couldn't be at the match. So we operated. I'm not sure whether we had a guest or whether, I think it was rider replacement. And then they had his all his what I'm trying to say, points taken off him after the BSBA said, well, you can't have rider replacement for him because he's never ridden for you before.
Yeah.
And of course, nobody had ever ridden for us before because it was our very first match.
That's it. So.
But we wasn't. Yeah, we wasn't allowed to have his points. Yeah. Sam Chapman's never ridden for us before, not in a league meeting anyway.
Interesting. I'm not so sure whether that rule still is the case now. I mean, they changed the rules so many times that you don't know who's who and what's what, really. Well, just didn't see how that one pans out, I think.
Oh, of course, the other person that can take his rides is Scott Parker, and he's been named as number 8. So, if we get enough points,
Damien Robert Parker.
And did I say Scott Parker?
Yeah, he said Scott Parker. Yeah.
Who the hell's Scott Parker? Let's sign him.
Plays for Fulham, doesn't it?
Yeah. Let's sign him. He sounds good. So, yeah, I mean, it'd be nice if we were in a position where we could give him a ride.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I mean, he wants to get some experience under his belt and get a few laps of Perry Bar just in case the Brummies need him in the future.
Yeah. So, okay, so let's have a look at if I can find it, the Stoke side this year. And it's chock full of experience, really.
Surely Phil Morris knows that rule, says Dungle.
I hope so. I certainly wouldn't bet against Phil. It's only something that's just actually this second occurred to me. But I hope so. You would hope that common sense prevails, that, you know, the only reason he's not riding for us is because he has to ride for another team. So yeah, and that's
we did have
rule.
6 points deducted, says Dingle.
We had 6 points, yeah, because that's how much they got from it, and it didn't make any difference to the results, so nobody really cared at the time. But so anyway, their Stoke's starting lineup is one John Armstrong, who we all know about because he rode for us in
2007. I think
yeah.
he's ridden for everybody, to be fair. To John, so.
He never got on with the track. So that's a bonus. He's never liked Perry Bar. He's got a 7.9594, I beg your pardon, match average. So you've got to expect our top 2 to be beating him.
Yeah.
So Lee Payne, 7.1. So that's more of on an even sort of keel with Tom Perry. But so again, I think you're going to be expecting our top 2, all things being equal, to be beating him. So that's a good start. And you got Danny Phillips on 4.98. I don't know much about Danny Phillips, but he's not new to the sport, is he?
I don't think he is, no.
So that's the worry, is the experience that they've got. Chris Widman on 4.81. So it's all very sort of compact in that engine room. Ryan Terry Daly, 4.68, and then the 2 reserves both on 3-pointers, Ryan McDonald and Sean Tedham. I'll be honest, I think we're going to beat them. I don't have any fears from that team, and they're predicted to do 7th, so perhaps not the strongest team around, and I think we need to beat them.
I think it's important to get off to a good start. You don't want to be losing, especially as you say, there's no playoffs this year, so you don't really want to be losing matches early and then having to play catch up. No,
every meeting's going to count. It doesn't necessarily mean that if you lose a home meeting, you're out of the league, but it does mean if you lose a home meeting, you've got an extra away meeting to win, I think.
That's right.
So, yeah, I think I'm looking forward to it. I think it should hopefully be a good match. There are some riders in there that know their way around a track. Perry Bar, as we know, is not a difficult track to learn. So
Ryan Terry Daly has the most amazing tick, apparently.
Okay, that's useful information.
It is, yeah.
Will it affect him at the gate? That'd be nice.
Depends what type of tick it is. If it's a leg one.
Yeah. And good news or bad news or indifferent news that Phil Morris is in charge for the meeting tomorrow.
Oh, definitely good news.
Well, I think so. I think, but judging by last Wednesday, then I think you've got to say yes.
But is it, and I'm just throwing this out, I'm not saying it is, I'm not saying it's not, is it also worrying news that the riders seem to be saying, or we've heard a few of the riders, Zach Voitinik being one in particular, say things like, it's really good that Phil's been there and it was down to him that we got the winning mentality. Because obviously next week Graham Drury will be back and Phil will be off to Warsaw.
That's right, for the first GP.
For the first GP.
So,
is that a worry?
It is a bit, yeah. It's a funny thing to come out with, isn't it? It's sort of almost...
well, to be fair, I mean, how well do these riders know Graham Drury?
Well, not as well as they're going to know Phil because of his contacts with the
absolutely. So, I mean, they know Phil better than Graham. So
yeah, and to be fair, I mean, I spoke to some of the riders after the second match, and they were, Phil was great and everything, but they also did, to a man, say, but we enjoyed working with Graham. So
Graham Drury, of course, has got a lot of experience and has got experience in the National League as well with Mildenhall. So.
Yeah, I think he's won the title with Mildenhall, hasn't he? So,
I agree with Jingle. As with all sportsmen, you should be able to motivate yourselves, really,
Well, yes, you can, but we're talking about youngsters here, and we're talking about youngsters that, at their age, things are bigger and it's much easier for your head to go down.
Yeah.
So you do need somebody that's able to put your arm round the shoulder if that's what's needed by a particular rider, or give them a kick up the bus if that's what, and you need somebody experienced.
And of course, I think it's well known that Graham Drury can be a bit abrasive sometimes with riders.
Not just with riders.
Let's draw a veil over that at this point.
I think so.
Okay, have we got any more bids on?
We haven't at the moment. No, still waiting.
I might take your time,
Okay. Is there a story to why there's a big dirty patch in the middle? Was there? Or,
yeah, because one of the riders grabbed hold of it, and I think, if I remember right, I think it was Tom Perry. It was the first one that signed.
Right, okay. There's the authenticity then.
Yeah, so it was our captain, and he grabbed hold of the T-shirt and pulled it to make sure, and so that was. We should call him Smudger from now on.
There you go, Smudger. That'll stick.
There we go. Okay, well, I think we'll have a little bit of music and give people the chance to register their bids for our wonderful T-shirts. Let's go for it.
aptly known as Michael Tracy, fashion and flying all the way from America.
Somebody has to. Yeah, that sounded quite good. Okay, I believe we've got something from our mate Tom Perry.
Yeah.
Birmingham captain Tom Perry says he wants all 3 points from their National League opener for the fans. This is quite an interesting article, I think, actually. The Sure Stop Brummies programme gets underway when they host Stoke at Perry Bar tomorrow. Perry says as much as he wants to get off to a winning start personally, the club's supporters are what this season is all about. We saw it against Cradley the other week what a win means to them, and we hope we can leave them with that winning feeling once again, said Perry. A number of fans have come up to me already, and they're not bothered about what league we're competing in. They're just glad to have their team back on track. I think they appreciate our effort already, and some have commented on how it's a pleasure to see us giving it 100% as a team and working together. We want to win for ourselves as riders and for the management and promotion, but most of all we want to send the fans home happy because it means everything to them. Phil Morris will be in temporary charge of the Brummies once again, something Perry believes will be a big advantage. He said Phil was brilliant with the lads last week against Cradley and played a big part in helping us to get the win. There's that thing again.
Yeah, I think that's so true, though, isn't it? You know, many of the fans that they aren't bothered about what league they're in. It's just as long as they've got a bit of speedway to go. So
Well, yes and no. I think
and as long as the riders are yellow and red, I think that's what it is.
Yes and no. I think we all understand as fans how close we came to not having any speedway at all. And in fact, at one point we thought we hadn't got any speedway at all. That was it. So we're happy, but our ambition is, and surely has to be, to move up the leagues again.
Yeah.
But this time, let's do it properly. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, when we was in the Premier League, well, I got a couple of sort of opinions about this. First of all, when we was in the Premier League, I did want us to go to the Elite League. I hold my hand up. I'm probably one of the few that will say that. Purely and because that if you're in a sport, the whole idea is to compete and be the best, isn't it? That's the whole. That's the point of the whole deal, you know. Yeah. So, but I think we went up too early. To me, we shouldn't have been going up a league until we'd won the league that we was in. You know, we'd come close on a couple of occasions, but we'd never actually managed to win the league. And I think playoff systems didn't help us with that, because we'd start seasons like a bomb and end up with injuries and whatever. So I think that particularly that playoff against Newcastle, we just weren't the same team that we were at the beginning of the season. So I think that cost us a little bit.
So will you be disappointed if we don't get promoted this season? Will you be?
Well, Tony Moore's stated aim is that he wants to win the league and then see about taking us up into the Premier League, and I think that's the right way to do it. He's also said that if we don't win the league, then he'll take a view on whether we go up. Personally, I think that's, and this is a personal view, I personally think that's wrong. I think let's win the league, and then go up.
Go up on merit, basically.
Let's win the league. But the other side of that coin is whether we've got to show Tony Moore that the crowds that we get, which is why tomorrow is so important, and every match from now on is the most important match in Birmingham's history. Yeah, that's how I feel about this season. Every match is the most important match in Birmingham's history, and it's all about us as supporters supporting the club to show him that actually the support is there to take it up into the next level. My own personal view is do it properly, do it when we've got assets, and do it when we've won the league. But we'll see how that pans out. And I was going to say something else about that situation, and it's totally escaped my mind.
Right, okay.
So what I will talk about is the playoff system itself. Now in the National League, for the first time since we started in 2007, the league is going to be winner takes all. That's it. You get to the end. Whoever's at the top of the pile wins the thing. Now, some people have said to me in private, don't you think that actually takes away something? Because the big thing about the playoffs, the big selling point about the playoffs, if you like, is that it creates drama.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That it creates this, you're in fourth place, but you could still win it, and etc. etc. And I would say to you, when have we ever seen that drama? I can only think of one final, which was the Coventry Pool final, where we've seen. Normally, when you get to the playoff final, it's over after the first leg. 9 times out of 10, the first leg has decided it. Now you go back to that year that we finished top of the pile. Only 2 seasons ago now, isn't it, when you think about it?
Yeah.
We finished top of the Elite League, number 1. We didn't finish top of the Elite League until our very last match. Now, if that had been for winning the league, that would have been far more drama than what ended up the final, us against Poole, which is, let's be honest, it was a damp squib. We got beat home and away, didn't we? The drama that would have been created in there would have been absolutely fantastic. Now, you go back to when we first won the league, the National League, as in the 1970s, whenever it was, and we needed to win our last match to become top of the pile after Eastbourne had beaten us at home as well, which still rankles to this day. The Knockout Cup is for that sort of drama. That's why you do the Knockout Cup, to have that particular type of drama. And the reason, in my view, that the Knockout Cup has lost so much of its gloss is because of the playoffs. I think, or it certainly has played a part in that. So I actually think that you can have a league where the winner takes all, where it can be where there is much drama as any other system that you put in place. It doesn't matter. What matters is what happens on the day and what happens in the league and all of that. So I'm actually pleased that we've got this chance to hopefully finish top of the pile. So, your thoughts?
Just think, couldn't there be another way of, working with the playoffs? Instead of what maybe not having
the people that get, I think, is it the top 4? Is it
top 4? Yes.
Are in a knockout competition.
Yeah.
So there's another trophy to go for.
Yes.
And I think that's the way.
I mean, with the irony with the Elite League this season is, obviously, it's the top 4 that go into the playoffs. There's only 8 teams.
There's only 8 teams, isn't it?
So it's half the league are only going to be in the playoffs anyway.
Yeah. All you've got to do is be average.
Yeah. It just seems to be the way now, doesn't it? I mean, in most sports now they have playoffs in some sort of form. And I suppose, in a sense, it keeps it interesting.
There are not many sports that have playoffs that decide the championship.
Rugby league does, doesn't it? Rugby league's one.
I'm not entirely sure.
And I think ice hockey does as well.
Okay.
So they've. But I think with the thing with the playoffs though is in a sense it keeps it interesting, because if you have a season where one team, like Kings Lynn did last season, they made a flying start to the season. They were about 20-30 points clear at one point, and then they had a few injuries, and of course the other teams, in particular Poole, caught up with them, but they weren't able to overhaul them. Now, in the sense of that, it keeps the season interesting, because by June, July, the season would have been over.
That can happen, of course.
And
that's
plus, of course, now there is no knockout cup in the league, so there's only the league to go for. So really, it renders pretty much the rest of the season meaningless for a lot of clubs.
It should be called the mini league. The league. So. It might be, but I don't want to denigrate the Elite League, because I hope one day that Birmingham gets itself back up there.
And it would be nice to think it would be a proper Elite League as well. So.
And when hope.
What do you mean by a proper Elite League?
More than 8 teams.
More
than 8 teams.
More top riders in the league as well. So.
Or do you know what? Not even
better organised, really.
Okay, better organised. Not even more top riders necessarily, but more of an even spread of riders, so that that they're of the same, whatever level it is. It's the same sort of ability. So that it's not. Everybody's talking about Paul's going to win it again.
Yeah, I get that, but I think it's always good to see the big names. I mean, you've only got to look at when Emil Seifert off for Coventry against Birmingham,
I'm
and how big the crowd was. So
absolutely, it is good to
draw
see the big names, but it's not the most important.
No, of course not. It's not the most important thing. You want to try and see even matches. So.
Yeah, exactly. The most important thing is to be able to support your team and know you've got a chance. Most people in the league at the moment don't feel that.
And have the team, and have really the league decided by who's the best team, not by who can work out the rule book better.
Yeah. So what would be your wish list for the Elite League if you could reconstruct it and have the teams that you wanted in and the rules? What would be your unique scenario for the Elite League?
Ooh, that's a big question.
It is, yeah. It is.
Well, have it run by independent people.
Yes,
not by the
that's the biggest thing.
Isn't
it? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean that's it. There.
And when you say independent people, who? The people who are actually in the Elite League.
Well, they wouldn't be independent.
No, that's it. So people who've got not got a vested interest in
from the actual clubs themselves. Wouldn't that be an idea?
Well, the clubs do run it themselves, don't they? That's what's got us into this.
So
because
who could run it? It's got to be somebody in Speedway.
Well, an ex-referee. I don't know, somebody from another sport.
Yeah.
I think a long meaty candidate's been Tony Steele, so because he hasn't got any vested interest in a.
No, that's the important thing. Not having. Okay, I've said this before. It's not so much the problem with Speedway, or for me, one of the big problems with Speedway, and one of the reasons why my dad's no longer coming to Speedway, incidentally, which is that's such a sad thing. It's such a sad thing for me,
especially now the Brummies are in in a lower league.
It's a sad.
I thought
personally,
it'd be more grassroots.
It's personally a sad thing for me. It's a sad thing for my dad for him to have, after all those years of watching Speedway from Graham Warren onwards, for him to come to that decision, and it's a sad thing for the sport. There's no winners in that scenario. Okay, it's only one, but how many other ones are there?
Yep.
So for me, it's the perception. The problem that Speedway's got is when a rule is made or a decision is made, one club or another can perceive, as we have been as Birmingham's been on the wrong end of the hook on this on a couple of occasions. We can go, well, you've done that because that's your club.
Yeah.
You've made that decision because it's good for your club.
That's right.
And it may well be that he hasn't made that decision for that reason, that there are very obvious and proper. But as a fan, you're going to think that way.
Yeah.
Because and the reason you're going to think that way is because you're given the chance to think that way. Because you can see that actually that scenario could exist, and you need to have a situation where actually as a fan you can go, well, I don't agree with that decision, but that's it. Whereas you can't not going to go, well, I don't agree with that decision, and the reason you made that is because it benefits your club. That's a bad situation because that eventually drives people away from the sport.
I've said on several occasions that when you look back at the winter of discontent in 2011, when for a while it looked like Coventry and Peterborough weren't going to run, I've always said that the way that was handled bankrupted British Speedway's credibility in a lot of senses, because to go into a season and to start the season even with two teams not knowing whether they're going to be in the league or not because of a petty squabble which should have been sorted out on the day of the meeting, not left to fester for 4 or 5 months before people decided to bang their heads together and actually sort the problem out.
So you're saying that didn't do Speedway any good? No.
Well, no, it didn't.
Oh,
it was an absolute disaster, really.
It was.
I suppose in that sense,
and stuff like that should be sorted out behind closed doors. We shouldn't get to hear about it.
In a sense, it's probably a blessing in disguise that Speedway is a minority sport, because I think if that would have been in the papers, I think that would have been for a good basis for a lot of people.
Yeah. We've got a match going on tonight, by the way, lads. Sheffield Tigers versus Redcar Bears. We've got as far as Heat 5, and the score's 18 Sheffield and 11 to Redcar. So,
and I think something we were talking about earlier about the crowd at Kings Lynn on Tuesday for the league match. It wasn't the Sky's first match of the season. Admittedly, Lakeside not the most attractive opposition, but it was a really poor crowd, and I do think it's time that some of these clubs started considering dropping prices for the matches when Sky are there. I also think
that it's about time that Sky employed somebody that looked at the matches that they televised, that knows about Speedway, and that goes, that's a good match. That's a good match. Because time and time again, you see them putting matches, and you look at it, and as a Speedway fan, you know there's going to be a big distance between the teams.
Yeah. Showing Lakeside away on a big fast track is never a good idea.
Yeah, well, quite.
I've always had a pet theory about this, that I don't know whether it's true or not, but my theory has always been that Sky pick a meeting because they've got a camera crew in their area on that particular day, and I think, we'll just go there. I don't know whether that's true, but that's a pet theory that I've always had.
I have. There might be some truth to it on certain.
I mean, surely promoters want to see a good crowd for a TV match. They want somebody who's flicking through the channels and they see a meeting and there's a massive crowd and
there's a good meeting and there's lots of people watching it cheering. Oh, that'd be fun to get involved in.
That's it. Rather than just seeing one man and his dog, and even the dog looks like he's there under protest. So.
But also, what you don't need, I think, on that is Sky shoot us in the foot on that one as well, because there have been times when they have made special offers.
Yeah,
Birmingham have done it a few times on Sky nights, and there's been a big crowd in. And what the Sky commentators go on about? The fact that there's a big crowd because the prices have been put down.
Yeah,
they shouldn't even mention it. That shouldn't. How often do they mention the prices at the Premier's football matches?
No, they don't.
How often? Wouldn't it be a good idea for Sky actually televising the match? Would it be a good idea for Sky to actually print and get rid of the tickets?
Sky started doing that, I believe, and I think you can buy.
I think that's a good idea. I think that's a good idea. Yeah. Just going back to your dad, you said that he's not going to go down. What was there a unique factor in that?
I don't think so. I think it was all the stuff that went on last year. I think he's not been well.
Yeah.
That plays a part. He's getting on a bit now. I mean, I'm getting on a bit, so he must be.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you're quite old.
And it just became very, very disillusioned with the whole business of Speedway.
Right.
And that's it. And,
So there wasn't like a unique factor.
No. I think it's the whole build-up.
Yeah.
For the past few years, the stuff that's gone on, and
So it's nothing to do with like the commercialism of the sport and things like that. It's just
not particularly. So that's it really. And I can sort of. It can be difficult as a supporter to hold on to this sport, supporting your team, and that's what. And at the end of it, that's what it should be about. It should be about supporting your team, because that's what brings people through the turnstiles time and time again, having a team to support.
That's right.
But then you go back to 2007. We had a great team. We built up a good rapport with them. We had to make a few changes during the year, but for injury and whatever reason.
Yeah.
But we built up a good rapport with those teams. How many of that team returned to Birmingham Speedway
the following year?
2.
That's it. There's not really any real.
Don't get me wrong. I've just remembered something.
Yeah.
I'm not blaming Birmingham Speedway per se, because it's Speedway that creates the rules that make it. That it's the asset system and everything. But what we should have done, I think we did it wrong from the first point. We shouldn't have gone in the Premier League at the beginning.
Yeah.
We should have gone in the National League like Cradley did. We would have had massive crowds for the National League because it was Speedway.
Yeah.
I think Cradley have got it right, haven't they?
And we would have got assets.
Yeah.
That's what Cradley's got. They've got some good assets now that eventually, when they go into Premier League, they've got people that they can take with
In fairness, that's what Wimbledon did when they came back in 2002. They went into the bottom league, and they had some really good crowds for that. And
so I think we paid for that mistake with the assets and the riders that we, particularly when we went to Elite League, we was just living off the drop-offs, from other people.
Yeah.
And we were lucky because we got Martin Smolinski that nobody wanted.
Yeah.
And bam,
These things that.
But
there you go.
so let's talk about. I've got another article here. The Brummies get down to the serious business of league racing when they face Stoke at Perry Bar on Friday. A big crowd is expected for the bank holiday fixture. Please, guys, please turn up. Come and watch this fantastic sport that we've got. Despite all the things I've said today, I love this sport. I love the smell of the thing. I love watching those bikes. I love watching these kids racing so hard and so fairly as well.
That's the frustrating thing, isn't it? Because I think was it Bernie Eccleston who said years ago that Speedway's tailor-made for television.
Did he really?
Yeah.
I didn't say.
Yeah, it's colourful, quick, happens in one area.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
If you get it right.
You just got to get it right. And
that seems to be the hard problem. That seems to be the problem. So,
Club captain Tom Perry said, "I hope we're going to be a lot sharper than Stoke because we've got 2 meetings under our belt whereas this will be their first one of the season. But we're not going to be complacent at all. We need to treat the meeting as though they've had just as much track time as us, and we know that all 7 of us need to be on top of our game to give us the best chance of getting off to a winning start. They've got a team of riders who've all got previous National League experience, and that could be a big bonus for them over the course of the season. The way the rules are this year, it means we can't afford many slip-ups, if any at all, and it's very important to get off to a convincing winning start." Well, that's what we've all said.
Do we actually think that Stoke have got the advantage?
No.
No?
No,
I think we have. Even I think it's made things a bit more difficult with the Sam Chapman situation, and I'm certainly going to, or Joseph will be asking Phil that question about, what's happened. Why 1 minute have we got him, and why next minute we haven't?
Yeah.
Obviously, something's happened. Something's gone on in that situation.
Yeah.
I'll be interested to hear his answer on that one. But no, I think when I look at the riders that we've got to replace him with, I think they're going to get around about the same amount of points.
yeah, I think so.
So from his ride, so I think hopefully it should all even out. It does leave you in a bit of a quandary if you get an injury there during the match. That's always the problem with rider replacement, isn't it?
I hate the rider replacement rule because it drags meetings out as well. So
it does, yes.
although I don't like the guest rule either, but that's another story.
Well, what would you do instead of
Squad. That's the only way you're going to.
I think that would work in the National League. It's probably the only league
A squad system.
a squad system. I think it's the only league that it would work in. The problem the Speedway's got, right, is the way it's this way it's organised. It's the fact that actually these riders are not our riders; they're self-employed,
Yeah.
right? Which means if they don't race, they don't get paid. So if you're in the Elite League and you sign somebody, but you say to him, "But you might be racing every week," he's going to go, "Well, hold on, I want some money for the times that I'm not, because I've still got to earn, unless he's Nicky Pedersen or something and he's got rides here, there, and everywhere." And so I think while you've got a system where actually the riders aren't owned and paid by the club because they're riders of that club, where then you're not going to be able to do a squad system because riders are going to go, "Well, that's all very well, but I can go to this team who do want me to race every week."
Yeah.
That's the problem that you got. National League, I think it might work
Yeah.
because you can use Midland Development League riders and et cetera, and all of that. And the other problem that Speedway's got, of course, is experience. You can you're going to hate me for this now, but you could put you on a football field with the other members of Birmingham City, and it wouldn't be such a great problem. They'd kick the ball to you occasionally and say, "Stay there, and we'll kick the ball." And your lack of experience, you can kick the ball.
Yeah.
Right.
Get your head kicked in as well.
But you would if you played against Villa. I'll make sure of it. But you put a Speedway rider that's not got experience on a bike, and he ain't going to hold his own. He ain't going to score any points. He's going to be a rabbit in the headlights, and that's, So how do you replace a number one? How do you replace Adam Ellis? So that's that's the thing there. It's such a different. It's such a different sport.
System. It's going to be the same for every team.
Yeah.
Well, it isn't going to be the same for every team. It's only going to be. It isn't because it's only going to be the same for the teams that get injured. If you don't get riders injured, it ain't going to be the same for you because you ain't. It's just not the same.
Although in fairness, of course, they've had squad systems in Poland and Sweden for years, and they seem to have mastered them. So.
Oh right, okay. So they do. okay over there. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's because they're employing just the top riders who are riding everywhere, and
To be fair,
and also I think they also pay them.
they pay them well. And to be fair, a lot of them, especially in Poland, all the younger riders, the clubs heavily support them financially. You know, they've got exclusive uses to the
Money's the
workshops and things like that.
money as ever
Money's everything.
is the answer to,
Yeah.
to all the problems, isn't it?
What ultimately what you could do with like is a supremo to oversee like a Bernie, Ernie
A Bernie Ecclestone would be-
Bernie Ecclestone or a Barry Hearn
something
type
like
figure.
that.
So.
Yeah. And franchise the teams out, maybe.
But the thing is that he would, you would want him to have overall control, and then you worry as a fan. So what are the promoters going to worry? What's he going to alter?
Yeah.
Is it still going to be Speedway?
I think
You look at the things that you look at
for the best, to be honest.
You look at the things that, for instance, Bernie Ecclestone has suggested for Formula One.
Yeah.
I mean, the obvious one was the double points for the last
GP, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
GP,
yeah.
which was just ridiculous. Most,
He's old.
but over the years, he's suggested things like we'll have sprinklers on the track that turn on randomly, so make it to a wet race.
Yeah.
To make it more artificial things and that's I guess that's the worry. So I'm playing devil's advocate. I'm agreeing with you, but I'm actually playing devil's advocate. Don't know.
Yeah, I mean they're against spoilers on the back of a racing car would have thought stupid like 100 years ago when they started.
And here's another big problem with Speedway. Now it's 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Got a meeting that started at 7:30. It's gone as far as Heat 7.
This is the problem, isn't
Yeah,
it? So.
get the thing moving, guys.
Yeah, it's another thing that's not good for sport.
Who's the
They had
referee?
1, 2, I'll tell you in a minute, 3, 4 reruns. Chris Gay.
Chris Gay. I thought it might have been Tiny Steele because he's making extended tracks.
Okay, one more last question before we disappear, because we are going to disappear soon.
Can I just say that Dingle says, can we arrange a police escort for Adam Ellis? And I think his streaming stopped a while back, so he's listening to us about half an hour ago.
Okay. What does it mean, can we arrange a police escort for Adam
I've no
Ellis?
idea. Maybe he will elaborate.
Let's hope so, in half
And we'll
an
probably
hour.
get it later on tomorrow.
And I totally forgot what I was going to say now.
It was really important before we go, you said.
Yeah, well, obviously we haven't had any bids yet, which is kind of
No.
disappointing.
But, to be honest, I think because it's the bank holiday, I think a lot of people...
I think there's also quite a big debate going on television tonight, isn't there?
Oh, right, okay.
But just for, if you're listening on the podcast, you can still take part in this. You can go to Twitter with @Brummies Speedway. You can go to our Facebook account /Brummies. You can email Chris at sports-radio.co.uk. And it will be open until midnight GMT on Easter Sunday. And we'll let you know on next week's programme the lucky winner.
He's racing at Lakeside in the afternoon. Yeah, Muppets.
Oh,
he must be talking to you too.
Yeah, I understand now.
He's obviously talking to you too.
Because he's okay. He's right tomorrow. Yeah. He's racing for Lakeside.
Yes,
and then he's got wend his way all the way down to Birmingham through bank holiday traffic.
He's going to go shut the M25.
Yeah, through bank holiday traffic. Although he'd be going in the right direction.
I think a helicopter would be better, wouldn't it? Than a...
Yeah. So but it's an 8 o'clock start, so hopefully. Brings you eat one, isn't it? If we're sort of saying, there's lots of people at the gate and we aren't starting yet, we'll I know where I was going. I know where I was going to ask you. How do you think? Now you've seen it a couple of times, the new start rules are working.
I think they do tend to keep it a bit tighter at the start now, and certainly one thing that really annoyed me over the recent years was having a restart and then they all disappear back to the pits for ages.
And that hasn't happened, has it?
That hasn't happened, no. But there's still too much messing about for me.
But it's better,
as we've seen with that meeting at Sheffield tonight.
Yeah, again, a lot of reruns, a lot of tape moving.
Always endeavouring to complete a meeting in 100 minutes is my theory.
Yeah, I think so.
Get the kids home at a reasonable hour.
So, is there anything? Is there any way that we can? What can we do to stop that? Then, what innovative rule could we come up with that that we could. So I'm just looking at something on the shout box, and Tony Mole's Dingle's just Tony Mole paying for a helicopter.
Yeah. He's trying to indicate it. Yeah, we know what he's trying to indicate.
How'd you stop riders from doing it? I mean, they came out very strongly, or certainly the top riders have come out very strongly against the rules that have come out. They don't like them.
Well, I know a few people suggested having the 2-minute clock on the centre screen.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing Sky meetings, but that's only when Sky are there. So maybe having that so they know how long they've got. And
Is 2 minutes too long? Takes a minute to run a race, for goodness sake.
it depends on how far the pit is from the start line. I
But
guess.
I'm talking about restarts now. Why would they need to go back into the pits then?
Well, the only reason for me that a rod should be allowed to go back into pits is if there's an injury or there's damage to the fence which needs to be repaired.
I agree.
Then I think it's fine. But if it's just a ragged start, get them back round.
How long does it take to get back round?
Well, it shouldn't take too long, should it?
Shouldn't take 2 minutes, should it?
No. I mean, if you want, you can go back around the tapes to the other side like that. But,
That's what they should do. And
yeah.
that keeps the tension of because what happens is you get the tension and then it just releases and everybody's going, well, what's happening now? And you lose interest.
That's it. So.
And
And if you have long delays, it's if you're going for a first time and you're spending most of the night studied there whistling with your hands in your pockets while nothing goes on.
Yeah, it's not good. And well, anyway, that sounds like the music. We will see you again next Thursday, where I think we will have a little bit more of a Cradley centric programme. We'll obviously talk about tomorrow's match, but obviously preview the Cradley match on the Wednesday
Against the bees.
against the Bees. So yep. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.
Take care. Good night.
Good night. Good night.
Welcome to the Speedway Tavern.